On the 6th of November 1943, Miron Zlatan carefully noted down the day's arrivals. Mina and Claudine appeared for the first time on the lists at Izieu. The house acted as a final refuge, but its position was becoming increasingly precarious. Italy had capitulated 2 months earlier, and its troops had left the area. They had been replaced by German soldiers. Like elsewhere in Europe, they were putting their plan for the extermination of all Jews into action. The net was closing on the Izieu orphanage. Samuel Pintel was 6 at the time. He and his mother had been assigned to live in a small hotel in Annecy.
On the 16th of November 1943, we came home from school and there were 2 trucks behind us. Armed men blocked the exits. Everyone gathered there was identified. My mother told me to let go her hand and ordered me to take that of the young woman standing next to me. The 2 women exchanged glances. That woman wasn't Jewish. She took my hand. Her name was not on the list, so she wasn't arrested. She passed me off as her son, so I wasn't arrested either. And my mother climbed into the truck. That day the Germans took away 20 people, including 5 children. They were all taken via Annemasse to the camp at Drancy.
Drancy, to the east of Paris, was the point where all deportees to the death camps converged. Samuel's mother was deported to Bergen-Belsen. Samuel was taken in by Miron Zlatan in Izieu. The boy discovered a house where the carefree mood of the first days had evaporated.
It was a Thursday, in early winter, when we arrived. The days were short, it was cold. I mainly remember that mood of weak light, mist, and cold. It wasn't cheerful. Before the roundup, my mother told me, if you're arrested, don't say you're a Jew. So I didn't say I was Jewish. I never mentioned it. I didn't know the other children were Jewish. I had no idea. I was sure I was the only Jewish kid in the orphanage.
The adults looking after the children kept quiet about the dangers they all faced. They tried to provide them with a semblance of normal life.
Life in the house followed the school routine. The classroom had been opened upstairs, in the biggest, best-lit room. Depending on the seats available, I would sit next to Isidore Cargeman. Sadly, he was arrested and deported and disappeared. Life revolved around days spent in this class. There was a young teacher, Gabrielle Perrier. It was her first job. There were 2 teenagers in the group, Theo Rice and Arnold Hirsch, who were 16 and 17, and who were tough guys. When there was a problem, they stepped in.
Only a few fragments remain of the children's daily lives, mainly letters which they sent to their families if they still had one.
This is a letter dated 17th of January. I'm not sure who wrote it. Maybe George Halpin. It was no doubt him. I was really glad to receive your card. I'm having lots of fun at Christmas. We were given some toys. I got a paint box and drawing book. I didn't get anything. I eat well and sleep well. I'm doing fine. We go for walks on Thursdays and Sundays. We get up at 7 o'clock. A million kisses, your loving son. 17th of January, 44.
Jacqueline Lusgart told her parents about evenings in her bedroom. I have lots of nice friends, Paulette, Marthe, Suzanne, Liliane, Mina. With their company, I'm not bored. In bed, we talk about films. We recount them to each other. And we also talk sometimes about our mamas, and I talk very often about you. Liliane Gerenstein wrote in her notebook as if for herself, God, by your grace, I had a good life before. God, after that, I only ask one thing of you. Bring back my parents, my poor parents. Don't let them suffer, they're such good parents. Protect them, even more than me, so I may see them again as soon as possible. Bring them back. In 1 year, the house saw more than 100 children come through its doors. Thanks to her connections, Sabine Zlatan managed to find homes or hide more than half of them. In February 1944, Samuel left the house and was taken in by some family friends. Paul Niederman, who'd been there since the early days, also left.
One day, a gendarme came who was very friendly with Miron. He came to tell us, one of your kids is much too tall. Make him leave. He's going to draw attention. It'll lead to problems. Once again, I owe my life to Miron. He didn't waste a second. I was digging in the garden. He called me to his office. He said, listen, you have to go. You can't stay here, it's too dangerous. Once again, we were a group of 8. That was the maximum. We were disguised as scouts. That's the idea we came up with. We reached the border village in Haute-Savoie of Douvaine. It was planned, so it was a moonless night. We walked for 3 or 4 miles with, get this, 2 youths from the village who were early members of the resistance and who guided us. They said to us, even if you fall, say nothing. Put your hands over your mouth, not a sound. So they cut the barbed wire and said, you're on your own now. Follow the river to the right. It'll take you to the village. In the middle of the village, you'll see a big thing marked police. Knock there. They're expecting you.
Arriving in Switzerland, Paul came to the end of 4 years of wandering. At Izieu, the first days in April 1944 brought a semblance of happiness. Adults and children captured the moment in photos. It was Thursday the 6th of April, the first day of the Easter holidays. Sabine Zlatan was not there. Leon Reifman was the only person who could recount what happened in the house that morning. He testified in 1987 at Klaus Barbie's trial.
Je suis arrivé à Izieu le matin. En cours de route, j'ai pris à Bélé 2 grands garçons qui étaient internes au collège de cette ville et je les ai amenés avec moi. Bien sûr, j'ignorais à quel tragique destin je les menais. Arrivé à Izieu, j'ai eu juste le temps d'embrasser mes parents et je suis monté à l'infirmerie pour voir ma sœur. Nous avons bavardé quelques minutes et puis la cloche du réfectoire a sonné pour appeler les enfants au petit déjeuner. Ma sœur est descendue, je l'ai suivie et arrivé au milieu de l'escalier, j'ai vu s'engouffrer dans le couloir qui menait au réfectoire 3 hommes en civil. Je me suis arrêté. Sur ce fait, j'ai vu ressortir ma sœur qui m'a fait un signe. C'est les Allemands, sauf toi. J'ai entendu dès le départ, donc dès le début, les cris et les larmes des enfants et les hurlements des soldats allemands qui criaient « Schnell, schnell ». C'était le moment où il embarquait tout le monde dans le camion.
Outside, local farmhands watched the roundup, powerless.
Puis quand je regardais dans les camions, là-bas, j'ai vu une chose qui m'a frappé aussi. Les enfants, il y en a qui, les plus grands, ceux qui avaient 10-12 ans, essayaient de sauter par-dessus les plateaux du camion. Et aussitôt, ils étaient remis en place par les deux Allemands qui les prenaient, ils les rejetaient dedans comme des sacs de pommes de terre, comme un vulgaire sac, quoi. Et en arrivant dedans, un autre les prenait à coups de pied. C'est peut-être pas des tortures comme certains en ont eu, mais c'était pas beau à voir. Et quand ils ont eu fait une 50aine de mètres, j'ai entendu chanter « Vous n'aurez pas l'Alsace et la Lorraine ». C'était tous les enfants au cœur qui chantaient ça.
The German trucks went directly to Montluc prison in Lyon. Among the 44 children rounded up were the Howlenbrenner sisters. Alexander and his mother did not find out what had happened until much later.
They spent the night here. They were interrogated by Barbie to find out where the rest of their families were. All the children, including my little sisters. My father and brother weren't enough for them. They were looking for my mother, Monique, and me. It's hard to imagine.
After a short stay in Drancy, the children and their guardians were all deported. On the 16th of April 1944, 34 of the children from Izieu and 4 of their guardians arrived at Auschwitz-Birkenau on convoy number 71. The residents of the house at Izieu did not pass through the camp. No sooner were they off the trains, they were immediately sent to the gas chambers. The others from the house met the same fate in the weeks that followed. The director of the house, Miron Zlatan, was shot by firing squad a few weeks later in Estonia.
Why? Why round up and deport children and adults, Jews? I don't know what to call it. Right up to the last minute, exterminating. It's incomprehensible, but it took place.
2 months to the day after the children of Izieu were taken away, the Allies landed in Normandy, the beginning of the end for the Nazi regime. It was not until the 27th of January 1945 that the Auschwitz camp was liberated. In the meantime, the Nazis killed more than 200,000 children there. Many families did not know who was alive or who was dead. Loved ones had to be found, lives put back together.
My mother went to Breteux station every day because those deported from the Lyon area arrived at Breteux station. She still hoped to see her daughters again and her son. She was always like that. For a long time, we had no news. The only thing I knew, I hid from my mother. I think it was in 1946. I saw in a newspaper called Combats an article which said the children from Izieu had been burnt at Auschwitz. I cut it out and put it in the pocket of my jacket, which I then tried to hide. But my mother went through my pockets and found it. Why didn't you tell me? I said, how could I tell you such a thing? It was very hard.
The end of the war came as a deliverance for France. But for the parents of the children of Izieu, it left a taste of death. It also left the question of how to mourn these children. Finding those who gave the orders for this crime was a first step. Driven by a thirst for justice, Serge and Beate Klaasveld dedicated their lives to this task.
We decided to act on behalf of the children of Izieu because they were innocent. They were away from it all in the mountains, and Barbie had absolutely no reason to go there. He didn't really have any superiors in Lyon because he was head of the Gestapo. There was a commanding officer above him, but he was free to do what was needed in the fight against the resistance and against the Jews. So we fought for the children's sake, because he was a free agent. He wasn't just a subordinate doing what he was told.
Identifying the person who gave the order for such a crime is one thing. Bringing him to trial is another, especially in the post-war climate when the major powers wanted to impose their supremacy.
The French knew he was in the American zone. The French made repeated claims for him. The Americans got tired of lying because every time they'd say, "Oh, we don't know where Barbie is." So they smuggled him out to South America, where he also probably became a specialist in torture. It was a move which left him untouchable.
In December 1971, the Klausfelds had tracked Barbie down to South America. He was living in Lima, Peru, under the name of Klaus Altmann. To bring him to trial in France, the families of the children of Izieu had to support their efforts.
One day I got a call. Serge Klausfeld introduced himself. I said, "Delighted." He said, "Does Mina and Claudine mean anything to you?" I said, "They were my little sisters." I said, "Why do you ask?" He said there was a chance of catching Barbie despite him being in Bolivia, and he asked if my mother would be willing to go there. I said I'd talk to my mother. She said to me, "If you're in agreement, so am I." She really believed he would be convicted. She always had. I didn't. Not with him on the other side of the world. What could we do, especially since he was so useful to the military junta, to Barrios and later Bence? I thought it was impossible. How could we bring him back? But she believed.
After several days tailing the former Lyon Gestapo chief, Beata Klausfeld and Ita Haulenbrenner were expelled by the Bolivian authorities.
Quelle est la tendance maintenant en Bolivie concernant la demande française d'extradition?
Mais on a l'impression actuellement qu'il y a quand même des gens au gouvernement qui sont obligés de protéger Barbie. Ils se promènent avec 2 gardes-corps. Et il est un homme tout à fait libre, ce qui est assez étrange, parce qu'étant donné que la France a demandé l'extradition, on pourrait croire au moins que cet homme soit mis un petit peu à part pour qu'il puisse pas fuir.
Madame Haulenbrenner, c'était la première fois que vous preniez l'avion, je crois.
Oui, monsieur, je suis dessus. À 78 ans, pour faire un voyage comme ça. Et puis, le gouvernement avec Barbie, je suis dessus. À mon âge, pour moi, c'est pénible, un voyage tellement loin. Et j'étais partie pour la justice.
Far from being discouraged, the families of the children of Izieu and the Klausfelds continued their struggle for the next 10 years. Thanks to a change of regime in Bolivia, they finally obtained Klaus Barbie's extradition. The epilogue of this tragedy took place in 1987. Barbie was tried in Lyon, the city where he reigned 45 years earlier. He had to answer for the roundup of the children of Izieu. Right to the end, the former Gestapo chief refused to accept responsibility for the death of the 44 children.
Barbie a toujours dit qu'il s'occupait uniquement des résistants et des maquisards. Ça veut dire des ennemis de l'armée allemande. Je demande, les enfants, les 44 enfants, c'était quoi? C'était des résistants, c'était des maquisards. Qu'est-ce qu'ils étaient? C'était des innocents.
It was tough. When I was at the trial, on June 1st, 1987, I testified all day long. I was questioned with great precision and pertinence. I got home, and I was like a zombie. I wasn't well. For a while afterwards, I dragged around. I had to go into work because I didn't have any choice, but I took a while to digest that, somewhat.
Madame Alexandre, s'il vous plaît.
Qu'est-ce qui est plus cher pour une mère comme des enfants? Il n'a plus cher? Non. Dans la vie, il n'a pas plus cher comme des enfants. C'était un homme, comme il vit encore. Il vit encore, un homme comme ça. Qu'est-ce qui me fait mal pour toute ma vie? Qu'est-ce que je souffre? Déjà, plus que 45 ans. Je restais. Je n'étais pas de métier. De gosse était petite. Qu'est-ce que je souffre? Pourquoi je me besoin tellement souffrir?
On the 4th of July 1987, the verdict was delivered.
L'audience est reprise. Bien, accusé Klaus Barbie, veuillez vous lever, s'il vous plaît.
Klaus Barbie was sentenced to life for crimes against humanity.
How long did your mother live after the trial?
11 months. She no longer wanted to live. I wouldn't say she committed suicide, but she let herself die. She felt she'd accomplished a mission, and that she no longer had her children, and the trial had taken place. She didn't want to live anymore. She no longer had any appetite. She stopped eating. She let herself slip away.
The roundup of the children of Izieu will remain a symbol. The symbol of the massacre of Jews planned by the Nazi regime. The symbol, above all, of the fight for life waged by the residents of the house at Izieu and by those who fought for their memory.